Right here, Shadur Sanders was able to hook up on a deep pass play to Gage Larvadain. Nice catch right there as far as Gage coming down with that. Isaiah Bond sees something as well. Isaiah Bond is going to be wide open on the curl route. Deshaun Watson just simply overthrows it, as you guys can see right here in the footage.
Day 9 of Cleveland Browns training camp, and it's raining picks, drops, and overthrows everywhere you look. But right in the middle of all that chaos, Shedeur Sanders steps back with the twos. No KC, no Denzel, none of the usual starters around him, and drops a dime deep down the field to Gage Larvadain, a clean, over-the-shoulder laser that had people on the practice field stop and take notice. Meanwhile, Deshaun Watson with the ones is throwing the ball right into Cleveland's own secondary. So what does one throw actually tell us about this quarterback competition? Let's break it all the way down. So here's the setup. Cleveland moved practice indoors because of the weather, and for the most part, neither quarterback separated himself. That's not me saying it, that's basically what came out of the building after the session. Shedeur Sanders had his reps with the twos today. Deshaun Watson got the reps with the ones. That's actually a small shift from the day before, when Shedeur was the one getting the first team run in 7-on-7. Todd Monken flat out said they rotated it so both guys get at least one day with the ones outside their normal group. Now let's talk about how Shedeur's day actually went though, because it was not a clean sheet. His very first notable rep of the day was an interception. He tried to go to Jake Stahl, simply overthrew it, and Emmanuel came down with the pick. Next play, he put a really nice ball on the back shoulder for Malachi Kleep on a deep shot, and Kleep just dropped it, hit him right in the chest, and it fell. So through 2 plays, you're thinking, rough start for Shedeur. But then it flits. Working with the twos, without the top receiving options around him, Shedeur drops back and finds Gage Larvadain deep down the field. Clean carry, clean throw, and Larvadain comes down with it. That's the play everybody's talking about. Right after that, he comes right back and finds tight end Whiteheart working across the field on a well-timed cadence look. 2 plays that showed touch, timing, and anticipation, right after 2 plays that could have buried a lesser prospect's day mentally. That's really the story with Shedeur so far in camp. He doesn't get rattled by the miss. He doesn't let 1 bad rep turn into 3 bad reps. And on a day where accuracy issues were everywhere at the quarterback position, that mental reset matters just as much as the arm talent. We'll get into exactly how bad it got for the other guys in a second, but first, let's actually watch how that Larvadain connection looked on tape.
The deep ball to Malachi Corley, and he literally dropped the ball, man. I mean, it was a well-thrown ball. Shedeur Sanders put it on the backside, as you guys can see, and it hit him right in the chest. He just did not come down with it. I will say Shedeur Sanders is getting reps with the twos, mind you. Now, Deshaun Watson had reps in with the ones, and so we didn't have KC, Denzel, Boston, none of those guys. Right here, Shedeur Sanders was able to hook up on a deep pass play to Gage Larvadain. Nice catch right there as far as Gage coming down with that. Next play, we have team. Shedeur Sanders sees something at the line as far as cadence.
Now, rewind to what was happening on the other side of the ball with the guy running the ones. Deshaun Watson had every rep with the first team today, every single one. And if you're Cleveland's front office, that's exactly the sample size you want to be clean. It was not clean. Denzel Ward picked him off in 11-on-11. Then in 11-on-11 again, he overthrew a pass intended for Isaiah Bond that got picked off too. That's 2 interceptions in the same practice for the guy getting every single rep with the starters. Let's talk about that Isaiah Bond pick for a second, because it's the one people are going to keep bringing up. Watson sees something at the line, makes a check. Isaiah Bond sees it too and ends up wide open on a curl route. Nothing but grass in front of him, and Watson just overthrows it, sails it right over his head. Denzel Ward, playing off the receiver, reads the whole thing and picks it clean off the turf, basically. On paper, that's the most alarming rep of the entire practice, because it wasn't coverage that beat him. It was ball placement on a receiver who had already won. Now, to be fair, Watson did have his moments too. He got outside the pocket later in a 2-minute drill situation and found Isaiah Bond again, this time hitting him in stride for a nice gain. So it wasn't a complete disaster of a day for him. But when you're the guy who's supposed to be the unquestioned CEO of that quarterback room, coming off 2 Achilles tears and a fully guaranteed contract, the standard isn't had some good moments. The standard is control the football. And through camp, Watson's actually the one leading everybody at the position in turnovers, not Shedeur. Dillon Gabriel wasn't spared either. He threw a pick of his own today, with Donovan McMillan tracking the ball down for the interception. So across the board, 3 quarterbacks, 3 different interceptions, 3 different flavors of inconsistency. But only one of those quarterbacks also produced the single cleanest, most difficult throw of the entire session, and it wasn't the guy with the ones.
Denzel Ward intercepted Deshaun Watson in 11 on 11, a pass play that was overthrown to Isaiah Bond. And Deshaun Watson is leading everybody in interceptions, so it's no surprise, but we will take a look at that interception. All right, so as we see Deshaun Watson making a change at the line, he sees something. Isaiah Bond sees something as well. Isaiah Bond is going to be wide open on the curl route. Deshaun Watson just simply overthrows it, as you guys can see right here in the footage. Just simply overthrew it. Denzel Ward picks it off. Right here, I will say this was probably the throw of the day.
Here's a bold claim. The stat sheet actually tells this story better than the highlight reel does. Let's get into the actual QB tracker numbers from the day, because the raw stats line up almost perfectly with the eye test. Shadur Sanders finished 9 of 15. Not a blowout day by any means, but only 1 interception on the day, and that came early before he settled in and found Larvadain in Whitehart. Deshaun Watson finished 13 of 23, with 2 touchdowns, but also 1 interception in that stat line, on top of the second one that came outside of straight team drills. Dillon Gabriel went 4 of 6, with his own interception mixed in. Now, if you're just looking at touchdowns, sure, you can argue Watson had the better day on paper. 2 scores is 2 scores. But look closer at the accuracy numbers. Shedeur completed 60% of his throws. Watson completed just over 56%, while also leading every single quarterback on the roster through the bulk of training camp. That's not a one-day thing either. That's been the running trend. And when the guy with the QB coach title starts talking about who can actually operate the offense without giving the defense free possessions, that stat matters more than one flashy touchdown drive. None of this means the competition is decided. Nobody in that building is saying that, and neither am I. Todd Monken's plan has reportedly been a real, genuine 2-man competition running through the bulk of August, decided by what happens across the 3 preseason games, not by one padless indoor practice in the middle of camp. Cleveland is not shopping Shedeur. They're not fielding calls on him. This is an actual, honest evaluation process, and today was just one data point inside a much bigger picture. But data points add up, and on a day where the wild inconsistency from every quarterback on the roster was on full display, overthrows, underthrows, picks on money throws, drops that should have been catches, the one throw that cut through all of that noise was Shedeur going deep to a guy who isn't even his top target, working with the 2s and putting it right on the money. That's the kind of rep that sticks with a quarterback coach long after the stat sheet gets filed away. And it turns out Todd Monken had a lot more to say about exactly that.
Only 1 interception. Deshaun Watson, 13 of 23. 2 TDs, 1 interception. Up and down, you could say. Gabriel, 4 of 6, 1 interception. So as we look at the QB tracker, we could say maybe that Deshaun Watson had the better days because he had the 2 TDs. Shadur Sanders had the higher percentage as far as 9 of 15 and only 1 interception. But overall, all 3 quarterbacks really didn't have that consistency that you would want.
Now, stick with me here because this next part is Todd Monken himself, breaking down exactly what he's looking for from both of these guys. Todd Monken sat down and actually laid out in his own words what separates his quarterbacks from each other right now, and it's not really about arm strength or flash plays. He said the very first thing he needs from any quarterback is operation. Can you get up to the line, get everyone lined up, 11 men on the field, no confusion, no anxiety about whether to call a timeout? That's step 1 before anything else matters. And Monken specifically said Shedeur has come a long way in that department. Not he's fine, not he's still learning it. I came a long way, from the guy running the offense that recruited him. Then Monken got into what actually separates their skill sets. Deshaun's got a little more athleticism, he said, but then he pivoted straight to Shedeur and said Shedeur has got a little stronger arm. He made a point of saying Shedeur isn't really a dual threat guy in today's terms, but 20 years ago he would have been labeled one. He's not a statue back there. Monken specifically brought up using him on QB draws, saying he can escape, he's got toughness, he's got some power in that game. Maybe he's not picking up Lamar Jackson-type numbers on the ground, but he can still keep a defense honest. That's a head coach describing exactly how he plans to scheme around Shedeur's actual strengths, instead of just talking generically about upside. And when you put that quote next to the tape from today, the deep laser to Larvadain working with backups, the anticipation throw to Whitehart right after, it starts to paint a real picture. This isn't a guy who just shows flashes. This is a guy the staff is already building specific packages around in real time during training camp. So when the title of this video says Browns executives are shocked, that's not some made-up quote sitting in a press release somewhere. That's what it looks like when your QB coach, unprompted, breaks down your third-string arm talent on the same day he throws a dime nobody working with him expected. Add it up and you start to understand why this quarterback competition genuinely does not have a predetermined winner yet, no matter what side of the fan base you're on.
Everything that you're looking at.
Are they similar in what you like? Would you need two different game plans for
I wouldn't think so. Deshaun's got a little bit more athleticism. Shedeur's got a little stronger arm, I would say. But what I would say was Shadur Sanders anymore is not considered a dual threat.
Right.
But 20 years ago he would have been. He's not a slug.
Yeah. No.
You can run things with him. You can run QB draw. He's going to escape. He's got some toughness and some power. Is he Lamar? No.
Reality check, though, before anybody gets too far ahead of themselves. Let's not pretend one throw settles a quarterback competition, because it doesn't. And nobody inside that building is treating it that way either. Deshaun Watson is still the guy with the fully guaranteed contract and every rep with the ones today. Dillon Gabriel is still very much part of this conversation, and by most reporting, he's actually the more likely trade chip if Cleveland moves on from anybody this fall. This entire competition, by the actual reporting out of that building, runs through the bulk of August and gets decided across 3 preseason games, not one padless indoor Thursday. But here's what today did prove. Shedeur Sanders does not need the top target, does not need the ones, and does not need a clean stat line to still produce the single best throw of the entire practice. He got picked off early, watched a drop happen right in front of him, and answered both of those with a deep laser and an anticipation throw on his very next 2 attempts. That's not luck. That's the operation Todd Monken said he's already come a long way on. And meanwhile, the guy getting every rep with the ones is the one who's actually led the quarterback room in turnovers through camp. Numbers don't lie, even in August. So here's where it actually stands after day 9. Deshaun Watson still has the job on paper, still has every rep with the starters, and still has that fully guaranteed money behind him. But Shedeur Sanders just put together the cleanest, most difficult throw of the entire practice, working with the scout team level guys around him, and got a direct, specific compliment from his own head coach about exactly how he plans to use him. This competition is not close to decided, and honestly, it might not get decided until those 3 preseason games actually kick off. So I want to know what you think. Does one laser to Gage Larvadain mean anything in a real quarterback competition, or is this still Deshaun Watson's job to lose? Drop your take in the comments, smash like, and subscribe.